Ndewo, ekene nwoke, ekene nwanyị, ekene m gị, sị gị daalụ. Welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time that you're watching my video or you're seeing this face, I want to say welcome and I want to acknowledge you. And I want to appreciate you for even stopping by to listen to what I have to say today about Odinaani. And the topic in get treated today is going to revolve around what can Odinaani do for you. As a mother, as human beings, we are prone to always looking for things that are going to be beneficial to us. We don't just do something because we want to do it. We do something because we deep down there is something, there is a gain or a benefit that is attached to that thing. And once there is no gain or benefit attached to that thing, you would not stand. You would not fully embrace what that thing is all about if you're not seeing any benefits attached to it. Now, religion or every other belief system that we have that exists all over the world, to every individual it has a benefit, whether that benefit is attainable or whether we are seeing it within, whether it is embedded into our reality, whether it is realistic or not. To the individual that is practicing or that has deep faith and belief in that structure, to them, how may benefit, there is something they are gaining from that system. For a lot of Ndoka, it could be the idea that when you pray, that God is going to magically salvage your situation and make it to be financially able. Or it could even be the promise of a beautiful life. So this is when I said that it does not matter if the benefit is realistic or whether if it is attainable within our reality. It does not matter. But what matters to most of these people is that there is something that they are gaining from it. While for some other people, they feel that the gain there is the hope or the emotional satisfaction that you gain from these things. The ability to have faith that there is something bigger than you that exists outside of you, that is more powerful or is more supreme than you, that is looking out for you. So for most Christians, it is an incentive. It is a benefit. It is a gain. Now, for us that are Africans in the Igbo, what can Odinaani do for us? Key benefit I get from Odinaani. Key benefit. What is the attainable benefits that we can gain from reverting to the spiritual system of our ancestors? And mind you, many people who wants to criticize indigenous spirituality would come from the idea or from the place of, oh, these things are no longer necessary. Often they can say that we are now civilized and indigenous belief systems are archaic. So, but what can we say that our belief system, the benefits of reverting and practicing our ancestral belief system? Now, what I'm going to dispel but the erroneous interpretation or the erroneous message a lot of us have, because not just this, the indoctrination process mess up with our heads. In the Dibia that we visit and we consult, they are also contributing to spreading of messages they wrong, messages in they are embedded in our reality. This is why I now feel a lot of young people when you ask that person, what is the essence of this sacrifice that you're performing, the person will tell you that ego. And when you now ask what kind of work, when you try to expand it to know the kind of job or the kind of you will see that this person could even be a child of Kano University, probably first year, second year. And already this person is thinking that that his life is worse and he needs a spiritual intervention that is going to make him who he is. So these are the erroneous interpretation that we have. So when we now ask this question, what can Odinaani do for us? Now the first one is the enhancement of creativity and our creative expression. And when they buy Agu is the creative center of an individual. Now some people also say that I will police him more. Now will police him more, which means that it is an agent that the deities or the spiritual systems use when they want to get wealth or when they want to attract or give a person wealth. But I dispute that interpretation. So to revert it a little bit, what Agbo is that it is a creative process, a creative expression that enables you that enables you to be in tune with the ability to process information and be able to apply those informations in your reality. And when you now apply those informations, when your creativity has been boosted by Agwo, and you now apply the informations that you gain or you get from Agwo, this is when those things would now manifest as some sort of wealth. For instance, if we have so many people who know, they will tell that they did not learn how to. They did not learn it from anywhere. They did not go through any apprenticeship system. They dreamt about it. Some people say, "Oh, I dreamt where I was picking up beads from the stream, from the water, and I saw a group of women, beading it together. And I woke up, went to the market, and I bought and started beading it. And this thing has been the source of income that I have. It has been giving me money." Some of my friends, an artist, got say that before she understood what was happening to her, that she has been, seeing images, flashed images of some of her artworks, and she now began to draw those things that she has been dreaming about. She just to draw them, and this has been what has made her to be sustainable. So when they say police, they are wrong. But what Agwo does is it enhances your creativity, your creative expressions. And when it enhances your creativity and your creative expressions, it would now manifest as wealth. Because when that creativity comes, you apply it. And when you apply it, you can now sell. You can now sell what you've learned. That enhanced creativity that you had, you can now sell it, and it will now translate into wealth. So this is the correct interpretation of what Agwo is. Now the next thing that Odinaani will do for us is alternative healings and well-beings through the usage of herbs and nourishing foods. Now in Odinaani, you will have this appreciation for herbs, roots, and for indigenous foods. You will have an appreciation for it. And what we know about our indigenous foods, they are rich with vitamins, they are rich with vegetables. So when you now begin to have this appreciation for indigenous food, it would enrich your mind, it would enrich your body. And we know that when the body is well nourished, it would somehow reduce germs, infections, and you frequently going to the hospital. So when you have this appreciation for eating indigenous foods and not just processed foods, when you have this appreciation, this is when you will now have an increased desire to always eat those foods. Now when it comes to herbs, now Odinaani gives us an opportunity to key into using indigenous herbs and roots that we have to heal our soul and our body. Now we know that modern medicine, it's quite expensive. Now for people that cannot afford modern medicine, you will now see them switching over to indigenous herbs and indigenous roots. And I've seen a couple of people, they got saying, hey, or they could not afford to go to the hospital. And they went to this herbalist and they recommended some roots for them. And they took those roots and those, concussions. And it's since then, they've not seen the symptoms. So it's like it gives us an alternative healing system through the herbs and the roots that we eat. And it also helps to improve our well-being through the appreciation of nourishing foods. Now the second one here is spiritual guidance and wisdom. The third thing here is spiritual guidance and wisdom. In Igbo cosmological system, if you make it a matter, when somebody is going through something, a problem repeatedly, we call it the second. When you keep going through this problem over and over and over again, the next thing that person will do is to go through what in the Igbo call Alpha. You go through the Alpha system because you want to verify. You want to know why this thing is happening. And when you know the reason why something is happening, you can now be able to solve that problem. So we see that our spiritual system, Odinaani, it creates room for spiritual guidance and wisdom. We go to these ancestors through Afa and we talk to them. And they now share their own wisdoms with us. And by sharing their wisdom and the information we are supposed to know, we can now be able to tackle some serious issues that we have that is bothering us. And the fourth one here is Odinaani gives us a moral code. This is what we call Unso. It gives us a moral code that we are supposed to live by and exist by, because it upholds the principles of unity. Whatever answer that we have, it is geared towards the appreciation of your family values, your community values, and the principles around it, the preservation of life, helping you to have a wholesome and a healthier life. So Odinaani will give you a moral code that you are supposed to live by, and that moral code comes with an exception. It comes with telling you that if you want to maintain the relationship that you have with these ancestral and cosmic forces, then you must uphold those moral codes that the community abides by. So Odinaani gives us moral codes, and it expects us to keep to it. Because when you keep to it, if today that we all keep to the moral codes that kept our Igbo indigenous societies together, it means that we will not be having issues of corruption. It would mean that we'll not be having issues of kidnapping, or the issue of thuggery, or the issue of izuoshi, different kinds of menaces that we see today. If we abide and keep to those moral codes, we would have a minimized realizations of this thing. It would almost be as if they don't even exist in our society. But the most important thing is Odinaani gives us a moral code, and it expects us to abide by those moral codes if we want to have a continued relationship in alignment with our ancestral and spiritual forces. The next one is the admiration of ancestral and native items. It means that when you see an obi, if obi, you will appreciate the structure, especially when the structure is ancient, when the structure is so old that you will know that when they built this thing, that they have not even had modern equipments. So you have a deep appreciation for these things. You have a deep appreciation for shrines. You will have a deep appreciation for self of authority. And the reason why you're having these deep affections and appreciations for these indigenous items is because it is strategic, and it is rooted to your identity. Some of the shrines that we have, ancestral shrines, that were instituted way back before colonization or the invasion of the missionaries. When you go to these places, you will see items that have lasted for over 2,000 years, that will be duly preserved and kept in those locations. So you see that these places, it sort of takes you back down the history. It takes you back. It helps you to imagine, to think. The kind of people who were able to put these things together, have this cultural arts, have these drawings, have these carvings. It makes you to think about the kind of people that your ancestors were. So this is one of the key reasons of what Odinaani can do for you. It gives you this admiration of ancestral and native items, because it would encourage you to think, to imagine, who were these people? What kind of life did they live? And how can I use what they have kept and preserved for the betterment of my today? So this is what Odinaani will do for you. Now, another thing here is Odinaani must force you to respect nature. It will force you to respect nature. And nature also includes you and I, the human beings, the animals that we have in our environment. This is why in some communities, we would see some sort of animal conservations. When they tell you that oboda de river, oboda na sonso, like we don't eat tortoise, we don't eat a python, and we don't eat ewi. In other communities, they would have people that don't eat crocodiles and monkeys. So they saw a beauty in those animals, and they decided to conserve it, to preserve it. And they now tell you that these things are mysteries. They don't have histories behind them. The reason why they are preserving it and conserving it, for people like from an Oka, will tell you that their ancestors, this Imoka was used to alert them during the time of a potential invasion from the people of Northia. So you will see that they have a historical reason, a historical context, whereby they are preserving it. Now, this is why we now see the veneration of water, the veneration of Ani, the veneration of air, different elements. It was born out of the respect that we have for these places. This is why in modern times, while we have this respect and regard for these places, it's still wrong when people misuse and mistreat those spots. Like in Odinaani, we'll see them putting plastics and other disgusting things inside the water that they are not supposed to. Even those things that even kill animals. Those people, they might be operating from the place of we are venerating Ajane, we are venerating Ndimbiri, but they are not doing it. They are doing the opposite of what our ancestors did. Because you cannot soil that place, you cannot mess up the water, and you now turn around to say that in Alolo that you're venerating and having deep respect with water, with the water element. No, this was not how our ancestors practiced it. So if we want to venerate water, actually in modern times, we need to ask the vital questions. Which items, how did our ancestors perform Oromiri? Because what they are trying to do is to venerate, is to respect nature, is to acknowledge nature. So we don't have to stray from how our ancestors did things, because what's the motivator, the key motivator of most people is the desire to get some sort of financial aid. And because there's a desire to do it, they are now going contrary to what our ancestors saw and practiced. And the next and the last is respect and acknowledgement for one's ancestors. I grew up in a Catholic home. I went to block rosaries. I went to even my secondary school. I also went to a missionary school, where after the rosary, they did this liturgy of saints. So you see that what happens here is that Christian religion will teach you about the ancestry of their own people, of other people that are not your own ancestors. Because when they say liturgy of saints, since this person pray for us, since that person pray for us. But the problem here is that we that can recite this liturgy of saints pray to the ancestors of these people, we don't have the same shared regard and respect for our own ancestors. It took me reverting to Odinaani, paying attention to the process, to start to learn about my own ancestral roots and lineages. So when I even go to a shrine, an ancestral shrine in my hometown, to perform a ritual, and I call my family name, the next thing they start telling me, oh, do you know this person? Do you know your ancestor did this person, did this thing? Do you know when the white man came, all of your ancestors did this one? Did you know your ancestor was an also? Do you know your ancestor once fought a war that was done between the Nne people and the Igbo people? They start teaching me and telling me about my ancestry, something that I've never learned. Something I've never learned anywhere. So Odinaani makes sure that you respect and acknowledge your own ancestors and not another person's ancestor. This is why Odinaani is very tricky. In the practice of Odinaani, it tells you about your roots, your ancestry, your identity. It does not teach you about the identity of another person, even if you people are in the same community. It will not teach you about it, but it is going to teach you about your own, the one that belongs to you, the one you belong to. And it will not just teach you your ancestry from a patriarchal lens, it will also teach you your ancestry from a matriarchal lens. This is when we talk about Ikunne and Ikunna, and to an extent it would even extend to Ikunne Nna, your father's mother's ancestry. Because when you want to perform some certain rites like a ragu, they will tell you that your father's house, people from your father's house are going to be present. People from your mother's side are going to be present. People from your father's mother's side are also going to be present. People from your mother's mother's place are also going to be present. So you see that Odinaani makes you to be in touch with 4 different kinds of lineages, because these were the people that came together to produce you. So it teaches you to venerate, identify, regard, and respect your ancestries. And it provides rituals, whereby a process whereby we, have sacrifices and it becomes a way whereby we honor and we regard our ancestors by eating with them, by communing with them, sharing a communion with them. We are regarding them, and in places whenever we perform these rituals, we start telling stories. If an elderly person was present, the person starts to teach you. So the last one my father did, when he invited his kinsmen and everybody, they came together in his obi, and when me and my sisters brought down the food, they got wine, drinks, and everything. Everybody sat down. Then the elderly men, they started to teach, started to talk about our ancestors, my ancestry. They started to even talk about people, different lineages that makes up my community. And my father was like, I should sit down, because he knows that I have interest in these kinds of topic. He said I should leave every other thing I was doing. I should sit down and listen to what they are discussing there. And I asked questions. It was very informative. And this could only happen because of the setting that we were in, because they were doing this targeted at teaching and talking about our ancestors, our ancestries. So these are the things that Odinaani will do for you. It ties you back to your roots, to your origin. It connects you through rituals, through storytelling, and through various means that it wants to establish itself. So these are the things Odinaani will do for you. Sadly, Odinaani is not the avenue for money making. unlike how we perceive it. Because when we look at the Nollywood, the Nigerian Nollywood system, the Nigerian film system, how they portray and present Odinaani, indigenous spirituality, it is wrong. And it gives people this false sense of understanding this process. So when somebody comes to Odinaani, the first thing the person comes is with the mindset of, oh, after performing these rituals, when am I going to start seeing breakthrough? When am I going to see the benefits of reverting to Odinaani? And when I get these questions, I'm dumbfounded because I don't know. I don't know if you're going to get the benefit or see any benefit, but what I know, the observable benefits that you can get from practicing Odinaani is the enhancement of your creativity and your creative expressions, alternative healings that you can get through herbs, and the improvement of your well-being through nourishing foods. It's going to help to give you spiritual guidance and wisdom. It's going to give you moral codes that you're supposed to abide and live by, which is very important because laws makes us who we are. If not, everybody would be an animal and start behaving like an animal. So having moral codes helps to preserve sanctity and sanity in our society. But then it's going to also help you to have this admiration for ancestral and native items. It's also organized going to make you to respect nature, have deep reverence and respect for nature. And finally, there's going to teach you to respect and acknowledge your ancestors, your ancestries, which is also very important and very vital to your existence as an Igbo person. So I'm going to stop here, and if you gained value from this video, don't forget to subscribe and join the conversation in other of my social media like my Instagram, my Facebook, and anywhere you see my face and my works. So please subscribe, and until next time, yeah guys, yeah.